is how we generally ship and receive our jet float units. So when you order from us, you may or may not have a full pallet, or you may have multiple pallets depending on the size of your order. In the next steps, I'll show you how to break them down and configure them as needed. Now that we have unpackaged our units from our pallets, we will disassemble them as needed. This build is a floating dock, and because of how it's being configured, I technically do not need to do this. But for demonstration purposes, I want to show you. So to remove the connecting pin, you take your assembly key, place it inside of the connecting pin, and then quarter turn. Pull up. It's disconnected. These connecting pins are 45-degree lock. So if it is straight this way, it's locked. 45, unlocked. Locked, unlocked. Locked, unlocked. And you can tell by simply putting your assembly key in and giving it a good tug. That doesn't move. Now if I do a 45-degree turn, a little quarter turn, and pull up, there it goes. Sometimes these can be tough and you really have to pull up to get it to come out. Now as we disassemble, again, these are double units. So they are twice as long as a single. The other thing about these double units is you need the spacers, because all of these are 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the lug height. I'll explain further in a moment. But on doubles, in the centers, since it's only 2 lugs instead of 4, your 1, 2 is a 1, and your 3, 4 is a 4. So you need 2 spacers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you would slide this back together, make sure everything is correct, put your pin in, give it a decent stomp. This stuff is not indestructible, but it is not soft. It is made to have boats drive on, foot traffic, and sometimes you're gonna have to use force to get these things to line up. Again, quarter turn to relock it. We will repeat the same process to add this double unit into our second. Again, this is a 1, 2, becomes a 1. 3, 4, it's a 4. But only because we're using doubles. There's only 2 lugs, lug 1, lug 2. Lug 1, lug 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Put your 2 spacers here. Slide your units together. Put your pin in. Sometimes you get away with just doing that. Good check is to always give it a stump. Same thing with your assembly key, 45 degrees. The easiest way to note and know if your units are locked is you look at the medallion. You see the maple leaf on this unit, and the maple leaf on this connecting pin are facing the same direction. You know for sure this is locked. Earlier when I was speaking of lugs, we'll reference this single unit for now. Now, we call them lugs. That is these tabs that your connecting pins, edge fasteners, etc. go into. If you can see here, the tab on the right is quite a bit higher than the tab on the left. This is the interlocking system. So if you look on the top of the unit here, there's a 1, it's a little dot, it's 1 dot. This is 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. All this is lug height and orientation. When you put units together, you need to make sure that these are in the correct positions. Okay, so I showed you a general demonstration of attaching sets of double units. Let's do the same with singles. And this is going to also be a slight explanation of your lug heights and connections. So when you have 4 units like this, these are all singles. The easiest way to know they're all going to go together correctly is, again, to look at the medallion. You see the maple leaf. If this maple leaf and this maple leaf, all 4, are facing the same direction, you know that you're in the correct sequence. You can also note the plugs on the units. So if you have this unit turned this way, see, my medallion's the wrong way, it's not going to work. Here's an example. Let's go back to the correct way. All the medallions and plugs are facing the correct direction. Now we have to look at our lugs. Here's our 1, our 2, our 3, and our 4. So we're going to just simply slide your 1 under your 2. But look, in doing so, our 3 got under our 4. That is incorrect. Our 3 must go on top of our 4. Doing this on a flat surface is always best. As you see, I'm having a little trouble here. Now, our 3 will slide right underneath our 2. And finally, our 4 on the very bottom of our stack up. So now we have 1 on top, 2 below it, 3 below 2, and 4 on the very bottom. Now you're going to take a connecting pin and simply, sometimes it's not very easy if they're not perfectly lined up. You can kind of wiggle it, get it started, and once you usually get about there, give it a stomp. Usually it'll lock. Now let's repeat the same process, but intentionally have 1 unit in the wrong direction to help understand what happens when they're not lined up. So here we're going to have our medallion facing this way, maple leaf that way, and this guy facing a different direction. We'll leave these 2 in the correct position. So you have 1, well, there you go right there. You have 1 here, because this guy is facing the wrong direction, you have 1 there. It's always going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, it is not correct. So let's turn this one this way and say we have 1, 2, because these are in the correct direction. Well, we turn this one this direction. So now our maple leaf is facing opposite. Now we have 1, 2, 4. Well, let's just say we didn't know better and we put it there. All right, well, and now we got this guy. So now we have 1, 2, 4, 4. Sure, we could make this work by going 1, 2, 3, 4, but it should always read 1, 2, 3, 4. All it's going to do if you do this is mess something up further down the line. Moral of the story: make sure your medallions are always facing the same direction. Correct, correct, incorrect, incorrect. Say you're having trouble in your assembling units, getting this guy to go in. It just won't go down, it won't work right. Find where your hard spot is. Take maybe another connecting pin, or an edge fastener maybe. Put it on the outside to lock these together. Sometimes you can turn by hand when they're just on the outside like this. If not, simply use your assembly key. After you've done that, you can try and give it a stomp, see if it works. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Right now you can see it actually kind of made my situation worse. What I'm fighting is these 2 lugs. See how they are not lined up? secure would be to stick this edge fastener through here. But how am I going to get that to line up? That's going to be a tough one. Easy trick is to use the end of your assembly key, if you have enough, or a shovel handle, something of the sort, and work it till it finds its way in between those two, and use it like to pry it. Now, sure, it's not perfect, but it's a lot closer. Now I was able to do that. And don't be afraid to use a mallet to smack these. Just be careful. Use your good judgment. Now that we have these corners locked together, it would generally be a lot easier to make this pin go in. See how I was able to do that by hand instead of stomping it? Stomp is a good overall security measure. Then you would just lock it like normal. Now, since this is a floating dock that is mostly constructed of double units, I'll show you how to connect packs. We commonly refer to them as 6 packs of double units together. Just like attaching a single double to a single double. We're going to push the units together. Note our lugs. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, medallions are in the same direction. Well, the double, I only have 2 lugs, so I need 2 spacers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll simply place these here and then slide. You're following. In doing so, I check these lugs on the outside as well. Here I have a 1, here I have a 4. My 1 is above my 4, that's good. Here I have a 2 and a 3. My 2 is above my 3, it's good. We're now ready to place a connecting pin. Give it a stomp. And assembly key. Quarter turn, it's locked. Now, a lot of times we prefer to build these on the water or on a dock and then push them into the water. It's easier to build these on dry land than it is to try and build these on the water. Anything is possible. We do it both ways. It's whatever makes the most sense. In this situation, the client's dock is still being built, so we're assembling it and then taking it to the job. All right, still on the floating dock. This is going to be our overall width. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. If you, with every order, you'll have a legend. Follow the legend, and you can't go wrong. Now we know it's only 6 wide. It's 9 foot 9 inches. So that's as wide as we need to be. Now we need to build the 20-foot long part of this dock. So this dock is actually completely built of doubles, so it makes the job a little bit easier. Now we have to slide these together. Unlike doubles on this side where you only have 1 lug, you normally have all 4 where these come together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we're going to do is simply try to slide these units under these other lugs. Because here's your 1, your 2, your 3, and your 4. So you almost have to make a sandwich. Get these 2 lugs in between these 2 lugs. Now this can take some effort, but you can see how I kind of shaking it, making it work. Now if I just push and try to make this other side line up, more than likely it's going to pivot out and this is going to come out. So what we'll do is on our outside connection, we will go get a connecting pin and place a connecting pin there. All right, so we're going to take our connecting pin and work it till it falls into that hole. Now this side cannot pivot out. You can lock that. If you're building over the water, I would lock it. On land, you should be safe with it unlocked. Just place it in there. It's really a placeholder. So we can see that these lugs are in the correct position. 1, it's on the top. 2, 3 is in the middle. And then 4, this corner is all the way at the bottom, if you can see that. So we just have to repeat this process. So I'm going to try to kind of shimmy it in here. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's just a sandwich. And all you want to do, boom, we're there. But you see, we're not exactly lined up. So again, we're going to use our assembly key trick. Sometimes you can put your connecting pin in there, wiggle it and push it and try and stomp on it, but there's a large chance of doing damage. So we like to refer back to our assembly key trick. Place your assembly key in the hole. Take some working to get it down in there. Give it a little bit of a pry. Now we are a lot closer. If we're still having troubles, we'll see what happens here. Put our connecting pin in. See, we're still having a little bit of trouble, so we'll put our assembly key into the next hole and help line everything up. Prying this a little bit, using our foot, and then giving that a good stomp. Good stomp. It's fully recessed. It's ready to be locked in place. Now, after we lock that guy, which we will do after we place this next pin, when you have your first pin in, like so, sometimes these are just become easy and easy. You go right down the line. So we're going to do the same thing. I can already feel where that went through the first lug a little bit. Give it a little stomp, not super hard, just a decent stomp. And it's not fully recessed, but it's going through, and there's limited resistance. It seems to go just fine. Second stomp, fully recessed, ready to be locked. So we'll lock these two and then continue. Now I did say that this dock was completely built of double units, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show attaching a single to doubles, to a set of doubles. It's very much the same. So we're going to make sure our maple leaf is in the same directions. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to get our 2 right underneath our 1, slide it in. Now we want to double check this side. 1, we don't have a 2 yet because there's not a unit here, but we can look at this and say 3, 4. So as long as your 3 is under your 1 and above your 4, you're okay. Now we can go ahead and place our connecting pin in this single unit. Give it a stomp. Here's where you need your spacer. So now that we have our single unit in place and we need to add this single unit, we're going to do the same process as always. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is a double unit. There is only 1, 2, 3 tabs. So this is a 1, a 2, and because this is a double and it's a 3, 4, this lug height is the height of a 4. So we're going to need 1 spacer. So we have 1, 2, the spacer will be your 3, the unit will be your 4. So we'll place our spacer in there and then simply slide our unit in just like any other one. So now we have 1, 2, your spacer that you just put in there is your 3 and your 4. We're ready to put a connecting pin and lock it together. It's a very simple process. You just need to take your time and pay attention, refer to your legend, and think about what you're doing. If you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We try to make ourselves available as much as possible. Now that is mostly everything I can think of until we get to edge fasteners, which I will show you right now. for demonstration purposes, we're going to assume that this dock is fully built. Now we're going to install our edge fasteners and or cleats. So depending on your location, I highly doubt you're going to put an edge fastener. There's no reason to put an edge fastener here, and it's unlikely to put a cleat on the very end of a dock, on the outside corner. If you want to go here, I'd understand, or anywhere on this side, but again, this corner is highly unlikely. Now, if we want to use our edge fastener, if you look at your legend, you will probably see the legend in your plan, edge fasteners on the corners or the joints where these doubles or singles are coming together, where units with more than one lug are coming together on the outsides. It's very simple. Here we have a 1, 2, so we don't need any spacers or anything. We just put in our edge fastener, run our nut on, and then once we get it run all the way up, we're going to use our nut wrench and we're going to just tighten it up. Let's say you want to put a cleat here on the outside of your dock. Well, you can do it, but you see, you're not ever going to get it tight. There needs to be at least 2 lugs here. So because you have a 1, 2, and it's a double, that's a 1. So you can either put this down and try to force this over and do that number, or we will send a pre-cut spacer that fits over here. So this still is a spacer. It's actually a lug that's been cut off from an old unit. It works perfectly for attaching this cleat on a single lug. Now you can run your nut all the way up and it will not shank out, and you can tighten it. That is just how simple that is. Now, when you get to this side of the dock, which in this case is going to be the front, again, you have a 2, 3. Nothing to it. Put your edge fastener in. You see I struggle right now. This is why I say get a mallet. Put your nut on, tighten it. Same as normal. When you come to this side of the dock and go to put in your edge fastener, you'll see we have a 1 and a 4. You can easily tell because of the giant space between the two. So what we're going to do is take 2 of our spacers and place them between the 2 units. Now you effectively have 1, 2, 3, 4. Put in your edge fastener. Run down your nut, use your nut wrench, tighten it up. That is the same process throughout the dock, no matter if it's cleats or edge fasteners. They are essentially the same thing. One just has a cleat head, one is a flush mount fastener. I believe that is everything as far as edge fasteners go. Again, the easiest thing to tell you is to refer to your plan, check your legend, pay attention to your 1, 2, 3, 4. Pay attention to your medallions or your maple leaf. Make sure everything's facing the same way. And it's work, but it's not too complicated. And if you have problems, you give us a call. I mean, that's the easiest way we can help you. Or email, text message with pictures, anything. We're here to help our clients the best we can. Now, for representation, I'm going to put this dock together and film it. You can also view some of our other time-lapse videos where we put them together on docks or, you know, somewhere and then transport them, etc. Now that I've showed y'all a little bit, oh, remember, I do this every day, just about. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and give that a little push in. That one fell incorrect. 3, 4, we are good. Boom, give that thing a little shove. Now we got to grab some connecting pins. They're a little off, but we'll see if we can make it work. Again, don't over stomp these things, but a little bit of pressure is okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, boom. We are correct. 3, 4. Gotta make sure that 3's over that 4. That's right. Give it a little push. Alright, so that row is good. Do now is simply take our assembly key, again 45 degrees, lock them all together. And as previously mentioned, this is way easier on dry land. Level surfaces are better, but you get what you can take. All right, so we're gonna do the exact same thing. Well, now since we're gonna have these, you need spacers. So I'm gonna need a spacer there. These doubles are gonna line up perfectly. Spacers here, and 2 spacers here. So we slide this guy forward. 1, 2. So we got to get it in there. This one could get tricky. Having a second person and a second set of eyes definitely helps. You see here, I just barely got it started. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything on top, because that's a 1. We're making our sandwich over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Top, very bottom. Top, very bottom. These are in the middle. 3, 4. On top, on the bottom. We're good to go. Give that thing a little shove in there. A lot of times you can start in this corner, and that'll be your best bet. Just like that. Grab you a few more connecting pins. All right, now we're ready to go for the next row. Same thing. It's gonna be the exact same order. 1, 2, 3, 4. All on top. Can you see? Since we're using doubles, we only have 2 lugs. We always need 4 lugs or lug substitutes. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So far, everything's lining up good. Double check. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on top. We're on top. Same thing, just like we did up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the middle. And 3, 4. So that guy goes on top. Give her a little shove in there. And then we get our connecting pins. Looky there, looky there. And we could lock them together now, but since we got one more row, we're gonna go ahead and lock this together. Same thing, repeat the process. We know that's a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gotta slide in the middle. These gotta go on top. Those gotta go in between. Now I got us barely started. Double check. Everything looks good. Give her a shove. Have a couple more connecting pins. Another tip, when you're installing these, if you do them all the same direction, like this, you only got to turn the same direction. If you do it different directions, then you got to turn it back the other way to get your leafs straight. It's always nice to make sure your leafs are always in the same direction. Ensures everything's locked together properly. Alright, there's basically our dock. Now we just gotta lock her all together.
Audio removed in this section.
Alright, so here's your dock. This is essentially what the client is going to get. Now, what we have to do is install our edge fasteners and our cleats. This client did not have cleats. He's just using this as a platform. So I'm going to grab some spacers. Alright. So, go ahead and finish putting our spacers in. 1 and 4, 2 spacers. 1 and 4, 2 spacers. Now we got those. Edge fastener. Edge fastener. Edge fastener. Edge fastener. Edge fastener. We're only going to put edge fasteners where the units meet. Putting an edge fastener here or here is going to do nothing. Again, here, nothing. Where these two meet and there could be possible separation, we're going to put one. Same thing. Where they meet, possible separation. On this side, we don't have any need for spacer because we have a 2 and a 3. So, we're just simply going to put these in. Same thing, because it's 2, 3. No spacers. 2, 3. No spacers. No spacers. No spacers. So you see on the ends, every single one, in this case, got an edge fastener because it's 2 different units coming together. Just 2 lugs. On the sides, only every other one, because again, 2 lugs coming together. We want to limit that amount of movement or flex between the units in this application. Doing one there or one here does us no good. 3, 4, no spacers. 3, 4, no spacers. All right, so we have all of our edge fasteners in. Now we're just going to go around, put our nuts on as demonstrated before. Get our nut wrench. Again, you could use the nut socket for this, but since it's an exposed outside, it's much easier to just use your nut wrench rather than trying to get that big nut socket and a ratchet down below here. I recommend always using a nut wrench when you can. Now when you go to tighten these, you just need them real, good and snug. You don't manhandle it till it breaks, A lot of times what we do is we'll give it just a little tap. Boom, it's good and snug. That thing ain't going nowhere.